Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I just got done filming a full face of Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk items and oh my gosh, if you haven't seen that video yet, I will link it down below for you. So that's what I'm wearing all over my face right now is all Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, but I was actually getting ready to clean up and finish filming for the day. I checked the mail. Look what came. So this is my makeup purchase for the month of February. It's the Natasha Denona Love Palette. So I figured today, like, I wanted to open it right away. I want to swatch it. I want to look at it right away on camera with you guys. And then on another day, I'm going to put the makeup on my face, but it's all going to be in the same video. So you're going to see me like shift outfits and makeup. And that's because I'm going to film half of this video now and then half of it later. Okay, so Natasha Denona, as you guys know, is one of my favorites, just like Charlotte Tilbury. They're both very expensive, but they are both so stinking good. Natasha Denona definitely makes my favorite eyeshadows. They are so good, you guys. Every single finish, the mattes, the glitters, the metallics, they're all so good, but they're very expensive. So I have, for example, a couple of different price ranges of her palettes. There's one palette bigger than this one, but this is the Star palette. This one was like $175, I think. It looks like this. Then she started to come out with a little bit smaller palettes that were $129 that look like this. This is the Sunset palette. I have the Lila palette, the Biba palette right here. Some of them have this leather case. Some of them have this like plasticky case. Then she started to come out with 5-pan palettes. So I have some like this that are right around, I think, $50. Then she came out with miniature versions like this. You can see how much smaller they are, that are in like the $24 price range. Then she came out with this size palette. So this is $65. It is much smaller, well, actually not that much smaller than her $129 palettes, but the eyeshadow pans are a lot smaller. I've never owned one like this before. This is the second version of this that she has come out with. She also had a Sunrise palette that had the same amount and it was the same price, but look, oh my God, it's pink. It is so pretty. It has the plastic case. I honestly prefer the leather case. I just feel like it's more luxe, more luxurious, but the plastic case is kind of cool. It has little holes in the back where you can pop the powders out. Her first palette that she made like this was the Tropics palette that has the little holes in the back and the plastic case. But here you can see the size difference. So the original palettes have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. And these new ones, oh my God, it's so pretty. Oh, it's so pretty. Also have 15 shadows, but you can see they are a lot smaller. But honestly, I mean, who goes through an entire eyeshadow pan? So this Love palette launched just in time for Valentine's Day. You can see it's like a pinky purpley theme. I wanted to quickly compare it to the Biba palette, or not the Biba palette, the Lila palette that also has a purpley cool theme. Oh yeah, they're vastly different. You can see. Okay, so let's dig our fingers into them. Okay, so the first color, oh my gosh, these are so soft, you guys. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what will be better to, I think I'm gonna do it like this. Okay, so first up is the color First. It's a beautiful like peachy pinky matte all over kind of transition color. The next one is probably the most patchy. This one and one of the others was a little bit patchy. It's the red color in the palette called Heart. Beautiful, and honestly, I don't think you'd need that much on your brush if you're putting that on your eye. But you can see it's a little patchy. Next to that is my favorite, It Speaks to My Soul, and ironically it's called Soul. It has a little bit of a pinky, kind of like beigey undertone. It's so pretty. Next one is the first kind of metallic in the palette. It's called Lifetime. It's really pretty. It's kind of your quintessential like gold for the palette. I don't love colors like this, but they are really pretty if you want like a bridal smoky eye. Next to it is the color Giving. It's kind of your pinky gold shifty color. There is a little bit of sparkle in that. That would look pretty popped in the center of the lid. I feel like a lot of palettes have colors similar to that. Next to that one is Passion. It's a really kind of unique, almost like a raisin like a raisin burgundy with some sparkle in it. It's really pretty. Next to that one is Heartbeat. It's a matte. This one is slightly patchy, but it's one that I think you can build up and it would look really pretty on the eye as like an outer V color. It's kind of your, oh, you know what? It's almost brown, but it's like a burgundy brown. It's really pretty. Next to that is Pure Love. This looks more purple in the pan. It has like a purple duochrome, if you can see. It's really pretty. That one would look really good like on your lower lash line, kind of smoked out. Next to that one is Intense. It's another color that speaks to my soul. It's kind of like a salmony pink matte. It's really pretty and it was really smooth and really pigmented. Next to that one is one of my favorite colors. It's called Transparent. I love champagne-y, pink, shimmery colors like that. Something about them, I just love popping them on the center of the lid. Next to that one is Commitment. This one looks deep in the pan. It looks dark. It looks like it's gonna be black. But when you swatch it out, as you can see, it's kind of patchy. It's a little bit like a grayish purple. It's still pretty and I think you could build it up on the eye, but it is deceiving in that pan. Next to that is another one that really surprised me. This is the color Valentine and it looks really light in the pan, but when you swatch it, you can see it's almost like just a really pretty pink color. I like that one a lot. I like it almost as much as I like Soul. It's really, really pretty. And then next to that is the color Trust. It's another purple. It looks very similar to Commitment. I feel like once those two are blended out on the eye, they're gonna look very similar in color. It's just funny because this one looks darker in the pan and this one looks lighter, but anyways. Okay, next to that one is the color Blind. This one looks gray in the pan, but when you swatch it, it has almost like a little bit of a purple to it. You see that? It's really pretty. That's a really pretty shimmer. That would look pretty on your eyelid also. And then the last one is the color Dream. It's just a really pretty kind of lilac-y purple. Also swatches lighter than it looks in the pan. Okay, so the colors that really drew me to this palette were definitely these like pinks. So basically this whole bottom row, like that one, that one, that one, those pinks are beautiful. Also this color right here, which is kind of like a pinky brown almost. Those are the colors that really just like sucked me into the palette. And then the color Transparent is a beautiful, or I think it will be a beautiful all over lid color. So I think that's kind of the theme we're gonna go for. We're just gonna see what happens. So I'm gonna start out with putting something on my eyelids just so I can kind of add a transitional base. I am getting a little bit of creasing from the foundation that I put on my eyelids earlier. So I'm gonna go in with the color First right here, which is just that kind of beige, my skin tone color, and I'm just gonna plop that kind of messily on my lids. Okay, next I'm gonna go into Valentine, which is so appropriate for today, right? So Valentine, which is a very pale kind of baby pink, but when I swatched this, it definitely is darker than it appears in the pan. And I like that. I think that's more wearable for the, you know, average person. There's not a lot of people who walk around with baby pink eyeshadow on, you know what I mean? So I like the fact that it's just a little bit darker when you put it on your eyes. So this is gonna go into the crease as just a little bit of a transitional color. And I have a hair, yeah, stay back. That was getting in my way. So I'm dragging this up just a little bit more than I typically would because I want to put a darker pink more precisely in the crease. This is just going to be more of like that blown out pink. To soften it up even more, I'm going to go back in with the brush that I put that first color on with and just buff it out. Okay, using that same brush, I'm going to go into the matte pink right next to Valentine called Intense. And I'm going to put this one more precisely in the crease. My eyelids are definitely much more like wrinkly than they were a couple of years ago. I guess that's what having kids does to you, right? So I have to be careful when I put shadows on my crease because they can kind of tend to skip and if I'm dragging. So I just have to make sure there isn't any like skipping, you know what I mean? And a blending really helps with that. And then going back to that big fluffy brush, I'm gonna dip it very slightly back into Valentine And I'm just gonna kind of blend the color Intense out a little bit. So that way the two colors blend together. Okay, now I'm gonna use kind of like a flat, not a pencil brush, but almost like a skinny blender brush. And I'm gonna go into the color Soul, which is just a hint darker than Intense, has a little bit of a brown in it as well. Getting just a little tiny bit on my brush, and I'm gonna slide it into the crease even more precisely than the color Intense. Now with this one, I'm only gonna drag it to the center of my lid instead of all the way over to my inner corner. I'm gonna stop right here and kind of blend in like that. So instead of blending up and out, I'm blending in onto my lid. And then I'm gonna go back to the brush that I used for Intense, and I'm gonna, the area where those two colors meet, I'm gonna gently blend it together so it looks a little bit more smooth. And then right here on the corner, I'm just gonna flick everything out and up. Okay, next I'm gonna go into Transparent, which is just a really pretty shimmery, it's the first shimmer that I'm using. I think it's a really good all over lid color. So I'm using a flat shader brush, and I'm just gonna pat that all over my lid. So dragging it into the inner corner and then all the way to the outer corner up to the crease. Now if you wanted to get really fancy, you could put like a concealer down first to really do like a cut crease. I'm not that fancy. I'm not really noticing a ton of fallout with these shadows, which is a really good thing. I was kind of expecting a lot of fallout, and I mean, maybe there's a little bit, but not much. Okay, last step, I'm really gonna intensify that outer V to kind of give like a little bit of a cat eye effect. So I'm gonna go in with a really thick, dense brush. This is a Morphe M517. I really like this trick for like outer Vs because it's just easy for me. So I get a really thick, dense eyeshadow brush, and I'm gonna go into the color Heartbeat, which is kind of this like pinky brown right here at the top. And I'm not gonna get a ton on the brush. You can see I just dot. And I'm just gonna kind of stamp it on the outer, kind of like 1/3 of my eye, but focusing mostly on the lid part, and then kind of blending it ever so slightly into the crease, but not a lot, just like that. Then to pull in a little bit more of that original Valentine color, I think I'm actually gonna mix Intense and Valentine together, just dot, nothing crazy. And I'm gonna go back and just buff out this one part up here, like the very edge of everything, to kind of make it a little bit more seamless. Holy moly, guys, I am absolutely loving this eye look. I think it looks so stinking pretty. All of those pinks kind of like blended together with like that gradient effect. It's absolutely gorgeous. So now I'm gonna focus on the lower lash line. So for that, I'm gonna go into this like flat brush I have. This is a MAC brush, by the way. It's the Mariah Carey brush, but there isn't a number on it. They probably sell this, you know, not Mariah Carey version. So for this, I think I'm gonna go into Soul, which is originally what I used this brush for anyways, and buff that on my lower lash, or lower lash line. I feel like the tricky part with lower lash lines is blending it with what you've done up here. So what I like to do is just kind of like slowly drag it up so that way they connect and it looks a little bit more seamless. I'm also going to go in with a pencil brush and get a little bit of that Heartbeat color and put that just right where the two, like the upper and the lower meet, just to add a little bit more ombre-ish. A look like this definitely calls for some falsies, but before I do that, I'm gonna go in with a pencil liner. This is the Maybelline Tattoo Studio in black, and as close as I can to my lash line, I'm just gonna draw a pencil line. This doesn't have to be precise because falsies are gonna go on top of it, but this is a nice little trick that I do to help that lash band blend into my lash line a little bit better. I'm also gonna put this on my lower waterline. Okay, before I put the falsies on, I am gonna put one coat of mascara on just because I do have blonde eyelashes, and not unless you're really close, but if you're really close, you can tell when I don't have mascara on them because they kind of add like you can just like, they're kind of like white, you know what I mean? So they don't necessarily blend with black false lashes. So I'm just gonna coat them with a black mascara so that way they blend with the false lash hairs a little bit better. You definitely don't have to use falsies when you do an eyeshadow look, but something like Valentine's Day is the perfect time to play with falsies if you never have used them before, just to like amp up your look, to add that little special extra something or another. These are the Ardell Studio Effects Demi Wispies. I love them. They're pretty inexpensive. Honestly, you can use any false lash that you really like. I just like these because they fit my eyes perfectly. I don't have to trim them. And I really like the little flare they have at the end. See what it looks like with and without. With is definitely like pow. Without is still beautiful, but it's just a little bit like more pow with lashes. Either way, it's beautiful. So to hide the lash band, you can do a couple of different things. You can just leave it. It really doesn't matter. Or you can line it with a liquid liner, which is typically what I do. But more recently, I've been trying something a little bit new, and I think I'm gonna try it again today just to see, you know, if I like it, if I don't like it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with a pencil brush and a dark shadow. So the darkest shadow in this palette is the color Commitment, which I think has like a bit of a sheen to it. It's not totally matte, which is fine. It's almost black, but when you swatch it, it's kind of like a lighter purple. It's very strange. It's kind of deceiving in the palette, in the pan, but that's okay. So I'm gonna go in with this pencil brush and as close as I can to my lash line, right on top of that lash band, I'm just gonna put to that shadow. Almost like lining my eyes again, but with this shadow. The glue I use for my lashes, by the way, is just this duo glue in clear. Clear is my favorite. Black works, but if you mess up, it's really apparent. Okay, last step is my lower lashes. So I'm gonna go back to roller lash and just coat my lower lashes. Okay, and here is the finished look. I love it so much. I think it's so pretty. These pinks in this palette, they just do something to me. They just, oh, I love them so much. I love pink shadows, but I have to be careful because if it's a certain tone of pink or if it's like bright red, it kind of makes me look sick in a way, but these don't do that. I think that this is just absolutely beautiful. To complete the look, if you're curious, for lips, I'm wearing MAC's Syrup lipstick. And then for cheeks, I'm wearing Charlotte Tilbury Sex on Fire blush. And then the highlight, which is really pretty, it's showing up really nice on camera, is this Stila Heaven's Hue highlighter in the color Kitten. I've seen this at TJ Maxx a few times, so maybe browse around a little bit. You might be able to find it on a really good deal. So that is it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. I hope you picked up a little thing or two. And yeah, that's it. Natasha, you did it again, girl. You created a great palette. So I hope that everybody has a wonderful Valentine's Day, and I'll talk to you next time. Mwah.